Hello everyone, my name is Abhilasha and I'm going to be talking about life versus capital during COVID 19 today. And I'm going to start today's talk with two examples. So, first is an example of a statement given by a transit worker in New York City. He said that we are not essential workers, we are sacrificial. So, New York subway system is one of the oldest and largest public transportation systems that employs thousands of people. These workers were declared one of the essential workers during the pandemic. So, there were many other workers across different part of US that were declared essential and were forced to work in unsafe conditions during the pandemic, and many died in the process. They were all lowly paid, undervalued workers, but essential for running the economy. That included nurses, farm workers, grocery store employees, meat packing and other food processing, factory workers, warehouse workers, delivery drivers, janitors, sanitation workers, nursing home staff, care workers, and many more. The second statement that came from was given by a migrant worker walking home from Mumbai. He was one of the many lakhs of workers who walked home from metropolitans to their villages, many dying in the way. So he said that we are like stray dogs who have no place in the city, and if I have to die, I would rather die in my village. He has worked and lived in Mumbai for 20 years, and yet at the time of crisis, he did not feel that he ever belonged to the city. It was his body and labor that has been used by the capitalist in the city, while his dreams and soul remain in the village. So, in these two statements, we can instantly see that how these two workers who are working in very different conditions in two different parts of the world resonate with each other. We can see the abject disposability of human life and its subordination to the economy. So, the current pandemic, COVID 19, has generated these shocking examples of people being driven by what Marx would call the silent compulsion of economic relations, where the potential workers work and um, potentially work themselves literally to their deaths. And through the lens of this pandemic, we can clearly see that capitalism and its ideologies stand in direct opposition to human life itself. To understand this opposition between life and capital, we can start by looking at the term economy and its meanings. In a narrow sense, economy has become synonymous with economic growth or GDP as we know it. So, if you look at newspapers, television, national television, political debates, even in our drawing room conversation, everyone is talking about growth and how the growth rate going up or down denotes how we are doing as a nation. So, in a broad sense, economy denotes the processes and policies that keep the circuit of global capital flowing, which means that profit making corporations are at the certain center of the economy. And if they are allowed to work freely in a free market economy, they are the ones that would create wealth for everyone. So, therefore, the role of the government of a capitalist nation is to make policies and create an environment now known as the ease of doing business that will help not only local corporations but global corporations to set up their shops anywhere. So within this logic of capitalism, you see that role of human being is very, very limited, and they enter into this equation either as a source of raw material in the form of labor or as consumers. So, and the social and relational aspects of human existence, such as food, clothing, education, housing, health, and even the reproduction of human life, all the important ingredients that go into creating and sustaining life as we know it is relegated either to the family or individuals, where they are taken care of through physical and emotional labor of individuals, mostly women, or they are increasingly services that are privatized such that they become beyond the means of majority. So essentially, government does not have to think about creating policies that sustain life making activities, which are either the responsibilities of individual or family, or market can take over these activities if there is a potential for profit making. So now you can see, we all of us can see that this contradiction or crisis of capitalism in all its ugliness, as both the developing nation like India and affluent nations in Europe and US are facing severe shortage of doctors, nurses, hospital beds, safety equipments, ventilators. Government across the world are rendered helpless in dealing with the rising number of patients and deaths, and have essentially shirked their responsibility of dealing with this crisis. At the same time, they are still doling out money to the corporations. So essentially, people are on their own, while corporations are not only saved but profiting through this crisis. So, within this discussion, the important thing to note is that this state of affair is not an aberration. It is a logical conclusion of the crisis of global capitalism. But within this gloom also lies the silver lining of this pandemic, as Arundhati Roy very lucidly says, that the pandemic is a portal that gives us the opportunity to interrogate these connections between the economy, society, and human life, and develop our collective ability to think critically and ask difficult questions of ourselves, our governments, our civil society, not just about the short term responses to this pandemic, but also the possible futures that we want to inhabit, and when we if we emerge on the other side of this tunnel. Thank you.